Every week I do a live show here on YouTube where I answer Royal Caribbean Cruise questions. Today, I've got the 10 questions I get asked all the time up next. Hey everyone, it's Matt from RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com. I absolutely love answering Royal Caribbean Cruise questions every Monday, live on YouTube at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, unless I'm on a cruise ship. Then it's a different time and I can't foresee that. But most weeks of the year, we're on at the exact same time answering your cruise questions. And we get a lot of questions, and many of them are definitely questions based on advice. They kind of maybe know the answer, but they have no clue at all, but they want to hear my thoughts on a certain topic. But over the years, I've certainly received a lot of questions that I basically get all the time. Maybe I get it once per live call. Maybe I get it once every couple of weeks, but these questions really come up all the time. And I thought, you know what? Let's answer them right here so you have a concise, easy to find answers to these questions, not because I think they'll stop being asked, but hey, maybe we can just point people in the right direction. Let's start with number one. Does everybody need to get the Royal Caribbean app? This is a really common question these days because the Royal Caribbean app is super important. In order to do the online check-in and a variety of other functions on board your ship, you're going to need the Royal Caribbean app to do so. To be fair, you don't actually need it. You could go on a cruise, never download the app and be totally fine, but it's in your best interest. It just makes your life all that much easier to have it. But a lot of people want to know, okay, I get it, but does everybody in the cabin have to get the Royal Caribbean app? If you're sharing the cabin with a spouse, with kids, with whomever, do you all need to get it? And the answer is no. In order to satisfy certainly the online check-in, the muster drill, some of the basics, one person in the cabin needs to have the Royal Caribbean app in order to do that. After that point, the other people can simply rely on that other person who has the phone to be able to access the app and do whatever they need to do in there. I think, quite frankly, it's pretty easy to use the app, and I think it's more to your advantage to have one. But if somebody doesn't want to do one, whether they're a Luddite or just simply don't want to use their phone on a cruise, I get it. You don't have to have it if somebody else has it on the ship. Probably the most critical aspect is certainly for pre-cruise and embarkation. Again, the online check-in, the ability to get into the cruise terminal, and of course, the e-muster drill. It just makes your life so much easier. And of course, once on board the cruise, you can use the app for certain things like, of course, accessing the daily activities, the chat feature, in which case, by the way, you all need to have the app for that in order for that to work. That's fairly obvious. But at any rate, the app makes your life easier, but you could rely on just simply one person having it. Number two, is the key worth it? Man, I get this question all the time, and I give the same answer all the time, and I try this out all the time. In fact, I recently retried the key again for the umpillionth time when I was in Europe. But essentially, my thoughts on the key is no, it's not worth it because the benefits sound better than they really are. Many of the benefits are simply front-loaded, meaning the best benefits occur on day one, but of course you have to purchase it for everybody who's 6 years old and older in your cabin for the entire duration of your cruise. But beyond that, when you go through the list of benefits, I simply think they sound better than they really are. For example, if you want to get the early check-in time the key offers you, anybody can get an early check-in time. Just do so exactly 45 days before your cruise via the Royal Caribbean app, and you too can get the same exact check-in time as people with the key. An internet package is included with the key, but of course you can purchase an internet package on your own, and it'll be cheaper than the key overall. There's reserved times for signature activities like water slides and Flowrider. My problem with this is that the times they give you are usually very limited, and oftentimes either during dinner or very early in the morning. Either way, they're inconvenient and not as useful as you might think. There's an embarkation day lunch, which is nice to be able to have a Chops Grill type lunch for embarkation day. I would argue the food in the Windjammer is certainly good enough, but if you do want to have an elevated lunch, you can just reserve Chops as well on your own. That's available to you on embarkation day. I do think there are two benefits that probably stand out from the key that I do like quite a bit, and they can't be replicated on your own. One would be priority tendering if your ship actually tenders. It's pretty rare these days. In fact, in North America, it's very rare, but if you had the key, you'd be able to tender theoretically faster than other people. And the other benefit, of course, is on embarkation day, you can check your carry-on luggage, usually in the theater or some other location, and that is nice. But again, at best, that's useful until your stateroom is open. So you're talking about 2, maybe 3 hours of usefulness for the entire duration of your cruise. Overall, I don't think you need the key. If you do a little bit of research, watch a couple of these videos here on this channel, you're going to be able to have a great experience without the key and maybe save some money along the way. Number 3 is, can I buy the drink package or Wi-Fi for only certain days of the cruise? So let's start with the drink package. And the answer to that is no. When you buy the drink package, it's for the entire duration. So if you have a 7-night cruise, you can't cherry pick which days you have the drink package for. When you buy it, it's for the entire duration of your cruise. There is a little bit of a workaround to this. in that if you don't purchase a pre-cruise and you get on board your ship, as long as there are a couple days left in your sailing, you can purchase it while on board. So as an example, on a 7-night cruise, if you skip the drink package completely on day 1 and buy it on day 2, you'll only pay a prorated rate for the rest of the cruise. Now, to be fair, you're going to be paying a much higher rate per day than if you'd pre-purchased it before the cruise, but there is a kind of workaround. But I think for most people, what they're looking at is, I only want the drink package for like day 4, 6, and 1. Well, it doesn't work that way. You can't do that. For the internet package, you can do that. There is a 24-hour pass that you can purchase while on board. Of course, the daily rate for the 24-hour pass will cost you more than if you purchased an internet package for the duration of your cruise. But hey, if you just want the internet for like 1 day of your sailing, then a 24-hour pass is going to be your best bet up there. This next one is one of many questions that there's many derivatives of it, but essentially, I'm going to blank port. What should I do there? What should I do in Cozumel? What should I do in Nassau? What should I do in Grand Cayman, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? Now, obviously, I can't sit here and answer every single direct question about every single port, but what you should do in every single one. There's a couple ways you can certainly get an answer to this depending on where you're going. Number one, we have an amazing shore excursion forum over at RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com. Our message boards are totally free, and you don't have to sign up in order to use them, at least to view the responses anyway. And you can search in the shore excursion forum for answers from other people who've probably asked it. Odds are there's probably a thread or 6 about the ports you're visiting. The other way you can also learn about your port is to simply Google it. One of the things I always do after I, of course, check the forums is I go to Google and I'll type in the port name, things to do, or port name, shore excursions, right? Cozumel shore excursions, Cozumel things to do, Cozumel best things to do. This gives me an idea of what the port is known for and what are the most popular choices out there. Then you can certainly consider what Royal Caribbean offers you, as well as things on your own. Another really fun catch-all for the Caribbean is a wonderful website called resortforaday.com. This is a website that sells day passes to many popular hotels and resorts that you can go to. What I love about this is you get access to the facilities that the resort has to offer. Their pool, their beach, and even a lot of times, food and drink are included as well. They're on your own, so you're gonna have to get there on your own, and it's not through the cruise line, but I really like this in a pinch, especially for families, and this is so useful in the Caribbean, in which a lot of the places you just simply want a beautiful beach to go to, but are also looking for more than just simply a slab of sand to enjoy. You want to use facilities. You like the pool more than you like the beach. You want some food, drink, service, and shade. This is what resortforaday.com is really good for. There's no rooms given to you, but access to the facilities is usually pretty darn nice. Another really common question I get is blank of the seas a good ship? Whether it's Explorer, Adventure, Allure, Symphony, Icon, Quantum, it doesn't matter. I get questions all the time about specific ships. People book a cruise on a specific Royal Caribbean ship and want to know, is it good? Did they make a mistake? That's a really common concern. I get why they want to know that. So my answer is simply this. There is not one Royal Caribbean cruise ship I don't recommend. I think they're all great, and I think they're all worth sailing on. However, it is important for you to recognize what the ship offers and what the ship doesn't offer, and then figure out if it's a good fit for you. What I mean by that is if you're going on Grandeur of the Seas, as an example, which is a common question I get about Grandeur, does the ship have the amenities that you're looking for on the ship? As an example, Grandeur doesn't have water slides. Does that matter to you? Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. If you got kids who are looking forward to water slides, then yes, it does. Grandeur still has a couple specialty restaurants, a great pool deck, and a variety of activities. But again, if you're looking for a zip line, a Royal Promenade, aforementioned water slides, or even a full Broadway show, those are things Grandeur doesn't have. And in that case, that might not be a good fit for you if you really value those options. But if you don't really care, you might say, Matt, I just want to go on a cruise and I want to have a nice time, sit by the pool, have a drink, tan, take a nap, and go to the amazing places. Grandeur's great for that. There isn't an inherently bad Royal Caribbean cruise ship. There are only bad choices based on what you're looking for in a cruise vacation. Next up, people want to know all the time, should they upgrade their cabin with Royal Up, and how do they win Royal Up? Royal Up, of course, is Royal Caribbean's bidding program for the cruise ship cabins. It allows people to bid on higher category cabins before their cruise. If you win the bid, you'll be assigned an upgraded cabin. Pretty straightforward. But a lot of people ask me almost every week if it's worth it to upgrade their cabin with Royal Up, and how do you win a cabin bid? Of course, more often than not, the answer is pretty much the same. If you want to upgrade your cabin, my opinion, your best advice is to contact your travel agent or Royal Caribbean directly if you book directly with a cruise line. Check how much it would cost to outright upgrade your cabin and determine if the price is reasonable for your vacation budget. The problem with Royal Up is, number one, just because you get a Royal Up opportunity does not mean there's actually a cabin to upgrade to. Royal Caribbean uses Royal Up as a way to kind of give itself a backup system. In case somebody cancels at the last minute, they can fill that void with somebody who placed a bid. Back in the old days, pre-Royal Up, essentially they might have sailed with that room completely open or completely dependent on a super last minute booking, either of which was not ideal. But the other problem with Royal Up is even if you understand that, cool, you just want to make a bid because you think it'd be fun, that makes perfect sense, but it's a blind bidding system. You have no idea what anyone else bid. So you have no idea if your low bid or your high bid is competitive or not. So basically, it's a black box that you have no idea what's happening behind the scenes, and it's a complete mystery as to whether or not Royal Up will actually work for you. Now, some people do enjoy the Royal Up bidding process, and it is possible to get a cabin upgrade for a lower cost than upgrading outside Royal Up. As long as you understand that you may not win the upgrade, there's really no harm in trying it. Just understand the realities of the Royal Up system. Another really common question I get asked all the time is, I bought the dining package. Can I book my reservations before the cruise, or do I really have to wait until on board the cruise? And the answer is, you really have to wait. Royal Caribbean Specialty Dining Package essentially allow you to enjoy either a couple or unlimited dining on your cruise at all the specialty restaurants, but the caveat is you have to wait to book it on board. It allows people who pay full price to get first dibs on specific times and days, and they fill that up with the dining package. It makes a lot of sense. When you book a dining package, it will ask you, what day and time do you want to make your initial placeholder reservation? But it's just that, a placeholder reservation. You can choose any time, any day. It's completely irrelevant because when you get on board the ship is when you're actually going to make the reservations. Now, yes, the system will make a dummy reservation for you, but you don't have to go to that place. It does not really matter. Heck, half the time I even forget I have it. But at any rate, you don't have to do that. But once you do get on board the ship, my best advice to you is probably go make your dining reservations first. Even before you have lunch or do almost anything else on board your cruise, if you have a dining package, it's a really good idea to go make reservations. The good news is you can go to any specialty restaurant and book any other specialty restaurant. My favorite tip is if you're on the Royal Promenade or sometimes on the Centrum as well, you see a little desk, a little stand with a crew member there, and it says something like specialty dining reservations. You can go there, and those people are waiting for you with the dining packages to quickly bebop in to the system, make a reservation, and get yourself all set up. Let's go back to the drink package because the next question I get asked all the time is, what's a good price for a Royal Caribbean unlimited drink package? And the answer is, it doesn't matter. If that seems a little condescending, I apologize. What I'm trying to say is it's irrelevant what somebody else paid for the drink package. This isn't like price matching at a retail store in which you can say, oh, okay, well, I'll wait for that price, or better yet, you can take your receipt and go show it to somebody and price match and get a lower price. The price for a drink package varies from ship to ship and sailing to sailing. Royal Caribbean doesn't have a standard fee for the drink package. But the reason why it doesn't matter as well is that you can't be sitting there waiting for a possible sale or a lower price. If you want the drink package, or you think you might want the drink package, my advice is book the drink package now and lock in the price. But if there is a better price, if there is a lower price tomorrow, next week, next month, anytime before your cruise, you can easily go into the cruise planner website, cancel your reservation immediately, and then rebook the drink package at the new lower price. The danger with waiting for a lower price is sometimes the price goes up and it never comes back down. So by booking a drink package now, you lock in the current rate, guard against a price increase, but are still able to take advantage of a price decrease. The next question I get asked all the time is, I'm going on a cruise soon. Should I go to Next Cruise to book my next cruise there? And that seems like a very simple question because, of course, you want to book a cruise, and at Next Cruise, you get certain benefits for booking a cruise while on board. And at Next Cruise, in fact, you'll get deposits as low as $100 per person, and you can receive up to $600 in onboard credit on your future cruise. These perks can make it really tempting to wait to book a future cruise until you're on board your next sailing, but that's actually a bad idea. Let's say your Royal Caribbean cruise is a month away, and you're waiting to book next summer's Mediterranean cruise once on board. In that month between when now and your next cruise, the price of that cruise could increase several $100s, thus negating any savings that you would receive by booking the cruise on board the ship. Therefore, it's best to actually book a cruise today instead of waiting weeks or months to book it at Next Cruise. The reason to book a cruise at Next Cruise, you might be wondering what the heck is the point of it. If you're on the ship and you think to yourself, boy, this is so great, I would love to book another cruise, and on a whim, you want to book another cruise, then Next Cruise is a fantastic choice because of the benefits I mentioned earlier. But if you know or you're thinking about booking a cruise in the future, my best advice is to book it now and be able to lock in the price. Prices for Royal Caribbean cruises change all the time. And these days, the prices seem to be going up more than they're coming down. So I would hate for you to wait, book the cruise at next cruise, and then be offset by the increased price compared to what you would have gotten with all those benefits and whatnot. At any rate, at the end of the day, most people just want a cheaper price, so book it now to lock in that cheaper price. And finally, the last question I get asked all the time on our YouTube channel is, I've got kids, and I'm going on blank of the seas. Is that a good ship for them? Now, this question is kind of similar to the one we talked about earlier of, is blank of the seas a good ship? But a lot of people want to know specifically for kids because the answer can vary greatly, right? They're taking teenagers, they're taking infants, they're taking elementary school kids, they're taking their adult children. Which ship is a good fit for them? Now, Royal Caribbean is a family cruise line, so the advantage is you probably have to struggle to find a bad choice for you. Ultimately, we're talking about facilities once again. What amenities do you want, or more specifically, do your kids want on board the cruise? Now, every single Royal Caribbean cruise ship has, of course, Adventure Ocean, so you don't have to worry about there not being kids programming on board the ship. But there are certain things that when you look at a Royal Caribbean commercial, your kids might really want to check out. Whether it's the escape room, whether it's a water slide, whether it's the aqua park on board, there's a lot of cool things kids can do on board their cruise, in addition to all the other things that I think are, quite frankly, universally appealing. So just like the earlier answer, it really depends on the ship you're picking, and does it have those amenities? Now, let's be clear. Let's say the ship doesn't have any of those things. You go on, let's go back to Grandeur of the Seas for an example. Is Grandeur a bad ship for kids? The answer is no. I mean, listen, there were plenty of kids back in the 90s that had a great time on Grandeur of the Seas and continue to have a great time. You don't need a water slide or an aqua park to have a good time on a cruise, even if you are a kid. Certainly it might help or it might benefit you or plus up the experience. I'm not denying that. But a lot of times when you're talking about these smaller, older ships, you're trading those amenities for maybe some more interesting itineraries. Maybe you're getting a better price on the cruise overall, and that allows you as the parent to be able to afford more interesting and cool excursions to do. I don't know. I'm just simply pointing out that what the ship offers on board to do is not the end-all, be-all of what makes a fun time. But of course, you know your kids better than I do. And if a water slide is going to make or break their vacation, book a cruise that has a water slide instead. So there you have it, 10 of the most super common questions I get asked all the time. And I love answering these questions. I don't mind answering them a bunch of times because at the end of the day, it's easier for me to answer questions I know the answers to than questions I don't. So I sound kind of smart with that. But in the comments below, let me know if there's a super common question you think I missed. What should have made the top 10 most commonly asked questions? You guys actually know a lot better than I do in terms of what questions get asked all the time. Let me know in the comments below. And while you're down below our video, hit the like button, subscribe to our channel, and turn on notifications. That way, YouTube lets you know if a brand new video to share. This has been Matt from RoyalCaribbeanBlog.com, and we'll talk again real soon.